So today we're gonna make some honeybee swarm traps. I guess they're not really traps. We're not trapping the bees. They're choosing whether or not they're gonna move into this when they swarm. Before they swarm, they send out scouts. They look for a place that's suitable to start a new colony. And then they go back. And when the queen splits off, I guess about half the hive goes with them. They look for, and then the scouts will take them to these different areas they've found, and they'll decide where they're going to stay. So, if you're like me, you're tired of buying bee packages. They're almost $200. I think someone just said the other day they're up to $200 now. If you do some research on how they're raised, it's pretty much like everything else today. It's done commercially. Artificial insemination of the bees, yes, it's happening. Hybridization, and they wonder why bees are disappearing. That's for another topic, but I've decided that, you know what, let's try to catch some feral swarms from around the area. A, they're free. B, from everything I've been reading and watching this winter, the feral swarms are a lot hardier. They're, as far as varroa mites, trachea mites, things like that, they're more resistant. So we're going to see what happens. Over the winter, I watched videos, I've read books. This here seems like a good way to do it. I've seen several videos on this, people putting them together and hanging them in trees. I've only seen one video where someone actually took bees out of one, and it was a half of one they mounted on a board to a wall, or they mounted a board on it like this. I was gonna do it and I changed my mind, but they had it mounted like this. I'm thinking, if I'm a bee, or I'm a swarm of bees, unless I'm a small swarm of bees, I'm probably not gonna move into this. It's not enough room. So the other way I've seen it done, put two together. Now, I'll back up just a little bit. These are called nursery pots. It's like paperboard pulp. And I followed what I've seen on the internet. You take your crack fill, expanding your foam, canned foam, you buy it at any big box store, Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. What I did is I took some tape, and I taped these. You want to do, on one side, you want to do all 4 holes. These all come with drain holes because they're planter pots. They're nursery pots. So you'll have a hole here. You'll have 4 of those. So that the foam didn't expand on the inside and outside, I took a piece of tape and put them on there. It worked pretty good. The other thing I noticed, when they're in their natural habitat, they're in a log, a tree, wherever they're at, they're in the dark. Notice this let in a lot of light. So I'm going to leave the tape on those. I'm going to leave the tape on those so it stays a little darker in there. So what I'm doing today, I'm going to try 2 different styles. We're going to find out what the bees like. That's my whole purpose. I'm doing about 16 of these. Each set, I'm doing 2 different ways. I'm doing them vertically like this. So it mimics more like a hollowed out tree. The hole's going to be at the bottom. They're going to hang from the trees like this. The other way I'm doing it is horizontally. I've seen that done, and they're actually putting a shallow frame in here with comb on it. And I'm no expert on bees. This is an experiment, so please join me in this experiment. And the things I've been hearing and reading, bees love old, dark comb. This is out of a neglected hive. It's a hive I've had for 13 years. I just let it go. I bought a package of bees one year. They died after they made some honey. So I put it out back, and a wild swarm moved in, and it was there for 12 years. I never opened it, never cleaned it. I want the bees for pollinating our apple trees and other fruit trees. But last winter, a storm blew the top off. 2 winters ago, a storm came through and blew the top off, froze the bees. So last spring, after the winter, I put a good top back on this old hive. A swarm moved in again, but it didn't make it through the winter. So I decided to tear this thing. It was tall, it had all kinds of supers on it. I decided to tear it open and see what was in there, and I found a bunch of these. No honey, but it smells like old comb. So what I'm going to try, they say the bees love this, so I said, okay, we're going to take some of these and we're going to place them inside like this. And we're going to hang it horizontally instead of vertically. So, how am I going to do this? I'm going to do one of each, and then we're going to hang them. Now, the other thing bees need, from what I've read and studied, they want a place to start drawing comb. Well, the video I said I saw where someone did this, you can find it on YouTube. They took comb, they were drawing it, the one that was on the side like this, up against a piece of wood, they drew comb right off of this. But I decided I want these to be sturdy, so I've got some old wood flooring, and I'm going to put an eye bolt through that. I'm going to tie my string onto that before I put these together. So, I'm going to cut one of these. What I've done, I just got a block here. I'm putting that on. It's easier to line your hole up. You put that in there, put that on there like that. I want to put a hole in the center. That's my top. All the holes are filled in. Now, get these old eye bolts, and I'm just twisting that in. One other thing I did, I put this foam on. One of the other things I saw in the video was they spray these or coat them with like a lacquer. I did this Flex Seal, clear Flex Seal. It's like, it turns into rubber. People use it in their truck beds, things like that. I've got some of these out already and they've held up really good so far this year. So I took 1 can of this, does about 4 of these. But it's waterproof. I sprayed water on it. It worked really good. It maintained the natural color. I didn't want anything like, they have this in black and white. I didn't want to do anything. I just want to keep it natural color. So I'm going to put this in. I've seen people that put a rope through there and tie a knot, things like that. You know, we're here in Ohio, northern Ohio. It's pretty windy. We had some real good winds here in the last week or so. I've already hung about 4 of these up. And I'm happy to say, I'm happy to report, not one of them fell apart or fell out of the tree or anything. They're just the way I hung them up. So I think everything I'm doing is working. But I bring this down pretty tight. Just like that. It's ready to go. Now we're going to put these together. I've got 1 1/4 inch drywall screws. The other thing you might want to do, I ordered 2 boxes of these from a nursery supply store, but I've learned before you get to them, match them up, make sure they're going to, some of them are kind of weird shape, so you just match them up a little bit. But what we're going to do then is we're going to put some screws in it, hold it together. I do about 6 screws, 5, 6, whatever it looks like, it's holding it down good. It seems to hold pretty good and it draws down good. I just go across from each screw and then I look to see if there's any obvious, large cracks that needs drawing in a little bit. I'll put a couple extra screws in. The thing is, and like I said, it's the first time I've done this, you got to think about things like, okay, if we do get a swarm in one of these, we got to take it back apart. So we don't want to make it too secure. There we go. There's our vertical. The hole's going to be on the bottom. We're going to hang that out of the tree, piece of string. Now we're going to do horizontal. Before we do that, we're going to take one of these nice shallow frames of old comb, and I've got longer eye bolts because you got to go through this, and you got to go through your containers, so I went with larger ones on this. Basically, I'm just eyeballing this. I mean, you can measure it if you want. Well, halfway right there. That's it. Because when I first started messing around with this, I've seen people in videos that put a piece of wire through there, and I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with wire or anything. I'm just going to put one of these in there. You know, they don't cost much. So, do whatever you want to do. This is how I chose to do it. Turn that in there. I mean, it's solid. Like I said, I've already got some of these up in the trees. I put them out early. It's been cold. There's no swarms anywhere yet, but the bees haven't been out. They haven't been that active yet, but it's going to warm up this week. We're at the end of April, so yes, we're still under house arrest for COVID-19, so looks like we will be for a little while yet. But anyways, so we got that on there, just like that. I'm going to get 2 more containers. We're going to match them up, make sure they line up nice, because we're going to do the same thing. The only difference is, here's our hole, you want the hole at the bottom. So we'll use this as a reference. I'm just going to put this inside. Okay, now all we got to do, we've got our horizontal. We'll throw around this branch here on this tree. We're going to hang it up. You know, the only other thing I'm going to do is I've learned this online too. This stuff called Swarm Commander. It's pretty effective. Why not? So the directions say you spray it on the entrance. You're not supposed to, I guess if you use too much of this, it has a negative effect. So you spritz one inside. It smells like lemongrass. And you spray one on the outside. Between that and the comb in there, hopefully some bees find it attractive. So, got a handy dandy tool here. We're gonna throw this. So we're gonna hang this. We're gonna hang this swarm trap up. Yeah. Yeah. We're just gonna hang this up like this. We're just gonna throw that up in there.